Tonight's episode has been presented by our friends at Quick Wick. We in the Bunn family love our campfires, and there's no better tool to start a fire and keep it going than Quick Wick Fire Starter. Produced in Canada, Quick Wick is a huge supporter of motorsports, and we are proud to be a huge supporter of their amazing product. If you plan on having campfires this year, make sure you go out and get yourself a pack of Quick Wick or a pail. It's who the Bunn family and Stickers and Scuffs use, and you should too.
Hello, friends. Welcome back to the Stickers and Scuffs podcast. We are pleasantly back at it for another episode, and we have Coltin Everingham, a driver through. Well, he pretty much drives anything that's got wheels, is what it appears to be, right, Coltin? I think I've seen you. You've done modifieds. I've seen that obviously with our buddy Wally Wilson, who's been on the show, and you did some late model stuff. You'll do enduros. Really, is there anything that you don't race?
No, I enjoy racing. You know, like I like to support all the racetracks that support us, because without them and all the thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars we put into the stuff, it'd just be a waste of money and a lawn ornament. So anything with interest, I just I get going on it. I don't care if it's an enduro car, bone stock, mini stock, super stock, pro late models. I've raced a lot of stuff. I've driven a lot of stuff for people as well, which is it's pretty cool coming from like a small funded family.
I mean,
so give us the
sorry. Yeah, no, I want to hear about this.
Yeah, give us the Coltin Everingham autobiography, if you will. Like, how did you get into all these different disciplines, and what sparked all this?
I started racing back in 2013. We converted my dad's old Challenger into a super stock. I went straight into the super stock. I never really had any racing experience. I just told my dad and my mom, I was like, I want to do this. I grew up around the racetrack since I was literally born. So we originally started with super stock racing, and then just kind of opened up some opportunities. My sister had a Honda Civic race car, and when she'd be complaining about it being garbage and that the car was sucked and the motor wasn't any good, I'd get into it and show her that it wasn't the motor or the car sucking, it was the talent behind the steering wheel. But we progressively moved up in different cars in the division. We started off with my dad's old car, and then I purchased a car off of Steve Cashmore, and we ran a 2-car operation with my sister in the super stock for 1 year, and then just kind of lost interest in it. And about 2017, we teamed up with Streamline Racing Product, and I talked to my mom. I said, I'm not trying to be a spoiled rotten kid, but we need some better equipment. There's nothing else I can prove in this stuff, and she just, she's seen how passionate I was about it, because I'm probably one of the most passionate racers out there, because I'm blessed for the opportunities that I've got, and I'm blessed that my parents are huge supporters, and so we worked out some numbers with Streamline Race Products, and wow, our racing program just went sky high. It was crazy. Nice. We missed opening night because the car wasn't ready, and we worked all year in 2017 of just getting more consistent, getting to know the car, and then 2018 we came out full swinging and won the championship. And as soon as we won the championship, that's when stuff really started opening up. Grandpa Zardo called me, Bill Zardo called me and said, hey man, we're going here with the late model or the pro late model. Can you drive my limited for me? So I'm like, well, yeah, absolutely. There's, that doesn't happen often. So we got that all together, and it was just a horrible night. The motor expired in my super stock. The motor expired in the late model, and I was absolutely crushed. And we dropped the late model back off, and I was like, I'm just going to focus on my own program and, just see what goes from there. And he really felt bad for me. So in velocity there in 18, he said to me, he says, it might've been 19 actually, but he said, how about we get rolling here with the late model again? And, I got the motor fixed up and ready to go. And, it was an older car, but I had the most fun in the world in it. We didn't we finished 9th, I think, out of a 20-car field. But first time ever doing a 75 lapper and running on the 10-inch slicks and stuff was absolutely wild. So that's kind of started that program. And then I started running a bunch of enduros, and I just, if somebody wasn't racing, I know they had an enduro car, I'd be like, hey, can I drive your stuff? Like I fix it. If I break it, I fix it. Yeah, no problem. So started off with my own stuff, and then I went to like Joe Daly, hooked me up with his car because he wasn't racing, and Billy Zardo just handed me a car and said, go have fun. And it's pretty crazy that these guys trust you in a demolition derby. Yeah. And then actually after the mishap at Autumn Colors a few years ago, we got a huge opportunity to run for, I call it Paul Wilson Racing, but it's Polly Wilson Racing. And it was crazy. The car got destroyed, and his dad comes over to me and says, I want you to drive my modified next year. And I'm like, what? I said, we just wadded up the race car. And he said, I have a lot of respect for how passionate you are about racing, and I think you'd be a really good fit. And Wally's talked nothing but good things about you. So that's what kickstarted that program. And, the 2020 season was the first COVID year, and we weren't racing as much. So I took Billy Zardo's bone stock to Barney. Never been there before in my life, and I raced every weekend. It was $10 a weekend. Other people didn't like that it was still running when all these other tracks weren't open, but huge shout out to Gord Bennett. Like that guy opened up a facility. We were doing test days. There was no money or anything that like purse funds or anything, but it was like something to do on a Saturday night with my friends and
keep skills sharp and everything.
Yeah. So in 2020, we were going to move up to the Pro Late, but after Autumn Colors, that wasn't possible. And we ended up first purchasing a car off of Rick Spencer Walt. And I've stuffed myself into some pretty tight areas before. And we, I don't know, like it's crazy the stuff that like my 6'9" carcass fits in. And there was nobody else I want to buy a car from. Is Rick's 6'8", and I'm like, well, this would be perfect for me. We have nothing to worry about. We redid the whole car, and I put my seat in. We had the roof on, and my head's against the roof, and I was crushed. And then the deal came with Taylor Holdaway, and Holdaway Motorsports has just been huge with us. We help each other out. That's kind of how our racing program works. So there's not, it's not a huge expense, which is really cool. He's stepped up huge in his program with Connor James and Jared Fitzpatrick, and it'd be cool to one day be able to race under his belts. I'm very blessed for every opportunity that I've gotten in the 10 years I've been racing, and I can't be more excited to see what happens next.
It's remarkable what you just said to me, because I go and I think, oh, okay, 6 feet, I'm pretty tall. Would you say 6'9"?
Yeah, I'm actually 6'9.5", but people don't care about the half an inch, so I just
you could always round up too, but I mean 6'9", that's a good chunk of a lad, if I can say so. Like yeah. If you ever want to go to a bar sometime, I'll I'll be on your team.
Yeah, so if I could be shorter, I would. That's why I don't tell them the 6'9.5". I hate being this tall, but it's what I was given in life.
So you're basically out for running Wally's legend car this year, then, eh?
Oh, I'd fit my carcass in there some way or another. So
it's one of those things that we'd like to kind of talk about, because we as a motorsports podcast in Canada, when we started out, we were Pinties only. Like that was all we wanted to cover. But thanks to our friends at G-Force for showing us what great Canadian racing is, and that's all these divisions that you're actually mentioning that you've been a part of. For a perfect example is that those modifieds. Let's talk about those, because that field is absolutely crazy, stacked with talent. And you went in there running the 96 last year for Wally. You had a couple of good runs in there too. So, but jumping from a modified then to a Pro Late and then to a bone stock, like, is it interchangeable at all, or do you have to change things completely?
The modified to the Pro Late is a pretty easy jump. The super stock to the Pro Late is a horrible jump. Like it's or a limited. Really? the super stock racing, between that and bone stock racing, is the hardest racing in Ontario that I've ever done. You know, and a lot of people don't give those bone stocks a lot of credit, or the super stocks. You know, like now it's really excelled well with the quick deal and stuff. But I'm not even kidding when I say like the bone stocks are just absolutely crazy. Like they're probably one of the hardest things I've ever driven. You know, and then it would be like the super stock very close. You know, the modifieds and the late models and stuff. Like, I mean, I don't want people to take offense to this. They're probably the easiest things I've ever driven. You know, and yeah, like I said, like it's going from the mod to the super stock wasn't bad, but like the super stock to the pro late or the limited was just crazy. So I did it once, and then I got Ryan Semple to do it whenever there was any conflicted of nights.
What does Sunset and Peterborough mean to you? I mean, you've got a ton of laps at both of them. It's got to feel good when you go racing at those places.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, Sunset was a love-hate relationship for the longest time. You know,
it seems to be the case
for many
with a lot of people.
Yeah,
it's a grind there.
It's not about how good of a driver you are. It's strictly based on who's got the best equipment. And there isn't one person that's going to tell me differently. You know, like I progressively moved up, and with seat time, and you know, you always get better with things you do, but practice makes perfect, you know, and every day you're learning, you're never ever perfect. And you know, like I said, like we could crack off top 10s, no problem at all. B main wins in the super stock, no problem at all. Top 7 was like the best finish I ever finished before 2017. And then we went to Peterborough, and like, well, like at Sunset, but we go to Peterborough at the Autumn Colors. There's 46 cars there, and I've never, the first year I went there with the car that I purchased off Steve Cashmore, never ever finished in the top 10. And I'm like pushing and beating and banging off of guys that have like 10 times the car, and like, you know, are very good drivers and stuff. Like I was racing with Brandon McFerrin, and at that time he had a brand new Thring car, and I'm like, damn, like this is pretty cool. And we finished 6th, my first actual attempt at the on colors, and it was 8th. And I said to my mom, I said, if that doesn't, you know, kind of prove that I'm a mediocre driver, you gotta stay humble, right? If that doesn't prove that, you know, like I have race ethic, and I got drive like crazy. I don't know what else will. And like I said, then we got the car to perform at Sunset, and like we did a lot of good things at Sunset, and I was pretty blessed for the opportunity.
The tracks in Ontario, and this might be a sensitive question, and it is to both of us, they're few and far between now.
Yeah.
And it's getting harder and harder to keep them around.
Absolutely.
Obviously, the loss of Jukasa is
devastating.
Yeah, devastating is the key word, right, Colton? And my question to you is as we kind of try to keep these tracks alive, do you feel that series need to work together in order to make that happen? Because I know there's been a lot of conflicts between that, and it is difficult with weekly racing, you know, happening at these tracks. But since you kind of have driven everything, I'd love to have your opinion on that and whether or not that would work.
Absolutely. You know, like the quick deal really sparked a lot of interest, you know, like guys like going to Flamborough on a weekly Saturday show, there was, you know, 5-6 super stocks. Sunset up until 2019 had like 17-18 on a regular night, and then like when things were really good, we were like sending 10 cars home in a B main through 16 and through 2015 and 2016. And you know, like it's cool with like the APC series, but that's a money series. It don't matter. Like honestly, it don't matter. And like I said, it might offend some people. It don't matter your talent. You know, you're always going to get out-dollared, especially in that series. It's a lot of people have a mentality, you know, you gotta have the best of the best. You gotta buy the, you know, $100,000 Pro Late model, or you know, and now the super stocks are getting just as bad with that whole quick deal. And it's nothing against the series at all. People like to, you know, race a 6-race series and a 10-race series, but like the prices of things are just skyrocketing. And like I said, it has helped, you know, it has helped at Peterborough. Like Peterborough's finally, or mainly funded off of the autumn colors. Like that's they get 300 cars there in a weekend. It's freaking crazy, and the velocity really is a huge thing. And it helped with the Quick series and stuff, going to all these different tracks. They left Sable out in Peterborough, which is a shame, but I don't know, man. Like it's very tough. It's a love-hate thing. It's kind of like anything you do in life, right? Like you just got to pay to play, and it's tough to have all these different divisions and stuff. Like Sunset makes it work with the pro lates and the late models. The late model count has gone down a little bit, but every week the late models are there, and then the opposite week the pro lates are there, and people love watching the late models, the pro late models, and the super stocks. Those are like the biggest 3 series that people like watching. And I just I hope nobody else closes down. Peterborough's by far my favorite racetrack. Sorry, Brian Todish, but it's my favorite racetrack. I wasn't a big fan of Jacasa. Loved the atmosphere. It was awesome. Like, Kenny and Alex Nagy were just phenomenal people, and the whole Nagy family was awesome people around the atmosphere there. You go there and you feel like you're at home. But as much as I didn't like a lot of the speedways that I've raced at, I'm not a big fan of Delaware, but I'm going to go back there and support them just because it's a track to race. It sucks that it's 5 hours away, but guys drive down to Sunset, which is 5 minutes from my house. So it's you got to kind of, I know gas prices are really highly expensive nowadays, but we're going to make it work to support as many people that support us.
It's so refreshing to hear that, Graydon, I think we were kind of both of that same belief, we as fans want to give back to motorsports because it's what has filled our lives for so many years. It's filled now. I mean, Graydon's raising 2 boys into racing. Like that is what they know and what they love. And it's definitely refreshing to hear that, hey, we're going to go ahead and support, it doesn't matter how far it is. And that's kind of the same way that fans think, right? Like it doesn't matter where racing's taking place. I mean, we've been waiting for racing to come back. Like it feels like it's been years. It's only been a couple of months, but it feels like years. When you get to 2022 race season starting, what's the goal for this year?
I didn't run a full season at Sunset strictly because I wanted to do like a rookie of the year thing. I've never ever won a rookie of the year in my life, and which is pretty crazy. I've literally driven everything under the moon, and like the super stock was a heartbreaking one. I lost the 1 point to my dad's biggest rival, and like his kid. But that's like the highlight, and every race I just want to get better and better. The pro late's a completely different animal. It's a lot of money to fix things. And my biggest thing is I want to get as much seat time as possible. With traveling, it sucks because the cost is just going to be crazy because you got to buy tires for different tracks and whatnot. And with the tire rule that you have at Sunset, and that's where I'm going to run full time. But I'm going to do my best. I don't care if I qualify good. I don't care about any of that. I just I'm very blessed for the opportunity. Like I said, I tell every single person in this world that not many kids these days. I'm 24 years old. I'm not really much of a kid yet anymore. But when I started racing, not many people ever had the opportunity to do what I've been able to do because of family, friends, sponsors, and fans. Like without the fans, like we're not racing for anything. So I just want to keep the car in one piece, learn as much as I can through Holloway Motorsports and a couple of the other guys that I really keep a tight leash with, and just see where our success can take us. Like I really want to run down at the All-American 400. That's probably one of my biggest goals, and if I can get that done, then I don't care what happens next. I don't care if I never race again. That is a highlight reel of my career after going there with Taylor. So we'll see what happens.
That's what I was going to ask. If do you have any other bucket list races that you would like to run in your driving career?
Nashville is by far the highest. If I was told that I couldn't race all year to race at Nashville, I wouldn't race all year, and I'd race at Nashville.
Do it, eh?
Yeah, it's just it's a driver's track, and I want to do it because I heard there's talks about repaving the track, and I want to get onto it as how it is. You know, like I got on. I only went to Delaware last year to get onto the surface on how it was because there was talks about it repaving, and so Nashville is definitely like 10 times the high of my bucket list, and I wouldn't mind going to Five Flags, or no, I almost said New Smyrna. Five Flags is Pensacola is like is a really cool track that I want to go to. After like I'm good buddies with Trey Latsovich and talking to him, and you know we do a lot of iRacing together. And he said to me, he says, everything you learn in iRacing, it's gone. Like you drive the car in 15 car lengths deeper than you do on iRacing, and you just kind of hope that it all sticks. So like those are the two tracks that are like the highlight reel of what I'm doing in racing.
But Trey, of course, races with you on iRacing. You need to tell us, of course, how many times you've beaten him. Come on.
I very, very seldomly. You know, kid's not only a wheelman in real life, but on iRacing, he's just as good. You know, and
he's an animal. Isn't he?
He's been watching a lot of my saves and stuff in the super lates on iRacing because that's the only way that he saved it at Hickory there. You know, just kidding. But the kid's a phenomenal wheelman in absolutely everything he's in. You know, and I just try to learn off that and see where we can go.
It's definitely a cool thing that you guys are all able to kind of connect on this platform and race, especially because we as Canadians, we kind of have the short end of the stick here. Like we don't get full year full of racing here, right? We kind of have like
5 months long, basically.
Yeah, that's about it. Which, you could say that that's a lot, but really it isn't. You know, especially
for the racer's pocketbook, it's enough.
Well,
fair enough.
Yeah, fair. That's a fair point.
Touché.
But we've had like Peterborough, for example, is well known for having rain, right? But then you guys will have rain, and then all of a sudden you still race because the track's able to get dry really nice and quick. And you know, obviously we're big Pinty Series fans, but I actually the tracks that I went to when I was younger were Mo Sports Speedway and Peterborough. And the one question that I always want to ask is, would you ever want to see Pinty's / because it was Cascar back then, return to Peterborough Speedway? Loaded question.
That's a hard bargain. You know, like they do bring fans and they bring a ton of money, and you know, like the coverage is remarkable. You know, but I mean, like we got super stocks that go to Peterborough Speedway, and there's not, you know, no offense to any of the Pinty's guys, but I don't think there's a huge difference. They're just big motors. They still, and you know, they got crappier shocks than we do, like the super stocks did. They just got, the only difference is the safety. You know, with the seats every year you got to renew, and the fuel cells every new you got to renew, and what's the difference? You know, like I get it. Like, you know, it's cool here in the NASCAR Canadian Tire Series because that's what I've always known it as, and we call it the Pinty Series. But NASCAR NASCAR Canadian Tire Series is going to sunset. Like that's cool, you know, and for people that are not full race fans, you know, like that are driving by and they see a big billboard that says NASCAR Canadian Tire Series, and like, oh, cool. Let's check it out. I've never been to a NASCAR race, and it's, you know, it's in the hometown. So I don't think it would. I think Peterborough would have to do a lot of work for the racing surface to race there. You know, like I love it. It's a driver's track. It's, you know, you're up on the wheel for, you know, 30, 50, 100, 150 laps. Like you have no time to be off the wheel. And it's an awesome place. You know, JP's done awesome with it, and Dave Sigma as well. And I think it would ruin some characteristics. You know, it's a 1-lane racetrack, which, you know, sucks a bit, but I think the only really positive I see out of it is the Pinty's guys, they like using the bumper, and with a 1-lane racetrack and 600 horse, it'd be pretty cool seeing people get punted out of the way. But so.
I believe I've seen a clip of you getting punted out of the way, I believe, at Peterborough Speedway. May have been a big altercation between you and the driver. It's a pretty well-known clip out there. So I've got to wonder, man, you just step on people, right? Because you're so much taller.
I was going to say, who that, like they know who's driving the car that they're punting around. Like,
I've raced with Dan Archibald for 10 years. He's the nicest dude off the racetrack, and I'll still say this today. It cost me thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars after Autumn Colors, and not even just after Autumn Colors, just racing with him in general.
Yeah,
that dude would give you the shirt off his back. At 10 o'clock at night, we blew a tire on the trailer, and he came and delivered me a tire.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah, which it's really hard to have my opinion, but like that's stuff I won't never forget. And
yep.
Like I said, it's a one-lane racetrack, and when you're in your 40s and going around telling every kid that you move me out of the way, there's going to be repercussions. And I don't go anywhere to finish second. I will not go. I will race my mom the same way, and I love my mom to death. And
Nice.
I don't know. The guy's bumper was hanging off by lap 7, so it's kind of self-explanatory of the 50-lap run. And we just raced him hard, and he obviously didn't like it. Man, it was a very, very brutal wreck. I mean, like,
yes,
if I don't make myself safely uncomfortable in my in any car I drive, especially at Peterborough. I always shimmy my way back and tighten my seatbelt as tight as I can and make sure I can't move. And I'm really lucky that it was me and not somebody else is kind of where I'm saying.
It doesn't look as fast as it really is, right? Like, unless you wreck, right? Because we've seen Doug Brown, I think, wreck there in a cast car race and just demolished turn 3-4 wall, and tire went flying through the air. And it does. I mean, people don't seem to realize, short track racing is still dangerous.
It's not the slide; it's the abrupt stop that hurts.
Absolutely, and like I said, I talked a little bit about Streamline Race Products. That John McWhorter built me one hell of a race car, and if I ever get the funding to do it again, I'm gonna do it through Streamline Race Products, because that guy don't care if you got $1 million in your bank account or $20,000 in your bank account. He wants his cars to beat every other chassis builders out there, and I'm really grateful that it was in that car, because, like I said, it was such a violent wreck that if it was in anything that I drove before, like my first 2 super stocks I had, I probably would have been dead.
Wow, really?
Because they're built as tanks. They're those cars are built to take a beating. Like my super stock that I bought off Steve Cashmore was built for Flamborough Speedway. That was the only track it was built for. It didn't care about the weight. It was making sure that thing could take a beating from any driver that ever come to Flamborough Speedway. And so there's no give. And thankfully enough that it's really unfortunate that it happened, but thankfully enough that it happened in my Camaro, the new car, because it moved and the cockpit just stayed the same. It bent the clip. It shoved the motor mount in 6 inches in the cross member.
Jesus.
It pancaked the wheel with offset like this and made it flat. It was crazy. And like I said, I'm pretty lucky I'm glad that it was me out of a lot of people. I know people take a lot of safety and they love safety, but I'm we gotta go work Monday morning. I want to make sure that no matter what, I would rather have bruises down my chest from my neck brace or my seatbelts than to be in the hospital paralyzed or killed. So I'm grateful and I'm lucky.
That, before we wrap it up, though, I mean, what does it do? The mental game of that, we like to ask a lot of our guests that, and speaking to a wreck like that, are you shook? Does it bug you?
More times than you'll ever know. It's a lot of people I've never met in my life. I'm good buddies with Xfinity driver Parker Retzlaff, and he's like, the first time I ever heard about you was from that wreck at Autumn Colors when you got out of your car. I was like, damn, that guy's big. And it opens the wound and stuff, and because there's nothing else to say. The pin come out and he destroyed me. And we went to Peterborough for their opening night, and because that happened in 18, I believe it was 18. Yeah, it was championship night, after I won the championship, and we went to Peterborough for their opening night because, like I said, I like supporting everybody and I love Peterborough. And I was I literally I have like this ritual. I got to be there 2 hours before the gates even open, and I don't care where it is. If I got, if the gates open at 8 a.m. and it's at Delaware Speedway, I'm driving the 5 hours at night to make sure that I'm sleeping in my car for, 6 a.m. I can get through the doors. And so I was there early for their opening night there, and I went and sat in the corner, and it gave me the chills, right? Because like I said, and it's not me, poor me stuff, but I'm very grateful that I was in the new car that like Sean built me and my mom helped with, and because I don't think I'd be sitting here having this conversation. And
that's not like a poor you thing. That's like,
I'm sure there's going to be people that are doing the whole poor me stuff. So it is what it is. But I mean, at the same sense, until they're in those situations, like everybody says, oh, you know what he's like. And I said, if you're going to go to the racetrack knowing that he's in the door or in the gates there, and you're going to finish second, take your stuff home. There's no sense racing, right. And I wouldn't change a single thing. I would just do it again and flat foot it in the corner in the next corner. Cause so that wouldn't have happened, but you get the EBGBs kind of thing. Like I don't really have much fear going to any racetrack. My dad, like first time we went to Jacasa, my dad says, take it easy. First time I'm driving it, as fast as I can go. And same way like Delaware and stuff and Peterborough, the first time I was there, it kind of screwed around with my head, but at the same sense, as soon as you're strapped in and you're racing, you just want to win and you don't really think about that stuff. So like I said, blessed for the opportunities, man.
There's before we do wrap it up, Colton, we both on this, both of us co-hosts here are so big into mental health initiatives, and I was wondering if you would be able to talk about Melissa Bullen and kind of her story and how that affected you and what you guys have really done for her memory. I mean, it's remarkable. But I was wondering if you'd be willing to speak to that.
Yeah, just don't make the screen blow up for my face. It's a horrible thing in life to lose somebody and to lose them to mental illness without them thinking that they had any other option. Like it didn't matter. I was there for her at 6 o'clock in the morning, 2 o'clock in the morning, any hour of the day. Didn't matter if I had to work the next morning. She knew that she could call me and I was always going to be there. And it's unfortunate to see that, the people that were there for her and, cared about her like they say they do, they definitely weren't around when she was still alive, if she's seen the outpour of, the condolences and stuff to her family and everybody else around her, and she probably would have a little bit of a meltdown because, half the people that were, rest in peace, gone too soon are not the ones that were sitting there waiting for her to make sure everything was okay. And we just kind of, I don't know, I was there to the end of it, and I'm a huge supporter. I was before, but now with mental illness and stuff. And now I've skyrocketed with it. And Alan Lankin and I built I built a mini stock, but my business partner there, Alan and I built a mini stock. Well, first we we're going to be a bone stock, and I brought it over to the Bones house and we started working on it, and it was too clean to be a bone stock. So I wanted to do this mini stock, and Alan's like, why don't we get sponsors and stuff? And I said, no, like I want to do this whole thing to Canadian Mental Health Association. I want to run, her number. I want to, her name's on the roof and stuff. Like it's nothing to do with Coltin Everingham or Alan Lankin. It's all to do with Melissa Bullen and trying to make a difference in life. And I had a lot of people step up and help, like Josh Watson, that guy. I don't even know what to say. Like that guy come over to my house, and I built a paint booth out of vapor barrier in my garage, and he stayed and painted it, and we ran out of room to do the hoods and stuff. He drove back and made sure he painted it, and Image Wraps helped me out huge with the wraps, even though they're not my main wrap people. I reached out to him because it was in a time crunch, and I said, hey man, like, can we do this? And he helped me out huge. The only thing that was crap about it is I had to put it on myself, and I'm such a perfectionist. It's this was something that I didn't want to be screwed up. So Josh Watson again come over, and didn't want nothing. He just wanted, to be a part of the whole situation. And he put in all the time and effort to, wrap the car. He was here till like 10 o'clock at night, and he had to work at 5 o'clock in the morning. And it's remarkable, and Phil Bullen and Josh Bullen, and Josh and I became, we distanced ourselves a little bit, and then we became really, really close. And, Phil helped me build the car, and same with Brandon Bullen as well. And I'm just trying to make a difference, it's not a good thing to take the easy way out. It's not. And let me touch base on that, because I'm probably gonna get some flack for saying that. Like, I get it. I get it. Without arguing about it, I was Melissa's best friend. And I seen her for the last 5 years, everything that was going on when we're dating and stuff. And it just like, I see what it does to people, and I know what it's done to me. And people, like I was on Kendra Adams's podcast, a couple months after it happened, and I said the same thing. You're not alone. You may think that nobody cares about you, and nobody gives a crap if you're around, but if you just take a second to breathe and smell the fresh air and be thankful that you're alive, you'll understand how many people are going to support you no matter what. And reaching out to people is huge, and there's a lot of judgmental people in this world. So I mean, like, pick your friends wisely. But I had outpour of people messaging me after, was struggling with their own problems, and I just, I do my best to. I mean, I'm only one person, and sometimes it gets too much, and I just kind of block it out. But if I see anybody struggling, I'm the first person to message them and make sure that everything's good, because I wouldn't want somebody else to go through what I've gone through, and the Bullen family and stuff, and all of our close friends. But just reach out to those that that really mean something to you. Don't reach out to everybody, because then you'd be turning into attention seeker that people think you are, and it just makes things worse. So the biggest thing I could say is, you're not alone. There's programs and stuff out there that are gonna help you keep the chemical balance in your brain and stuff going green. And that's the most important thing, man, is with anything in life, right? You're meant to be here for a reason.
It's 100% sure, and that's why we wanted to touch on this, is that both Graydon and I, we deal with mental health, and we both been on bad sides of it. And one thing that we can both say is that racing, there's competition, but it's family. And
big time.
We've seen it in 1 year of doing the podcast, that people we had never met before, and you talk to them for 5 minutes, and you feel like you're best friends. It is there's so much good in the world, and to see what you're doing, what Carson Nagy was doing with Kids Help Phone, the several initiatives out there. It's what needs to happen, and we need to erase the stigma behind it, because there is so much stigma behind mental health, and talking about it. It is not something that we need to hide.
No.
But Coltin, we obviously are huge fans, and we're so glad that you were able to come on the show and chat with us. And we're hopefully going to be at Peterborough this year, so hopefully we're able to catch you in action. And we'll do something at the track. And we just want to thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thanks for the real talk, man.
No problem, man. I really appreciate you guys having me, and just trying to do my part and make awareness.
Yeah, it was awesome, dude. And you know what? We're ready to see that 48 rocking around the racetracks this year and going for some big victories. So we want to thank you, Coltin Everingham, for joining us on the Stickers and Scuffs podcast.